I'm excited to share these live episodes with you from the 2024 NADA show in Las Vegas. I'm on the Lot Link stage interviewing our industry leaders out there who have been so gracious to share the stage with me. We're doing live recordings. They're sharing strategies to help our industry and our businesses level up. I hope you enjoy each and every one of these episodes. Listen and learn. Hey, it's Jen Suzuki, and I'm in the industry. I meet some of the greatest leaders out there, dealer execs, dealers, GMs, and I'm bringing them in the studio to talk to me about what's making their business pop, what's accelerating their growth. I'm sharing my own personal strategies for your sales teams, so I'm ready to get after it. Are you? Hey, welcome back, listeners. I'm here live at the NADA show, and I always look for somebody that stands out, that's doing something awesome. I love tech companies, particularly in the automotive space, because tech is something that we've got to keep leveraging into like the day-to-day. I'm always looking for efficiencies. And I've got Joe Shaker with us. He's not only a dealer, but he's turned dealer into tech guy. And then I want to hear a little about what happened in this journey, because some of the things that he's done have been, in my opinion, real game changers for our sales process. But I'll let him tell. Joe, welcome.
It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate your time. You know, you have a lot of places to be, a lot of things you're doing in the industry. But tell me like a little about yourself and you're a dealer, and what happens in your dealerships that you're like, we need something to solve this one problem. What happens?
So first off, the dealer group I don't even think we're mid-size anymore. We sell about 10,000 cars, which I don't think is a big deal anymore, really. That's like not even mid-size the way dealerships are today. So we have a decent group, and I always fear failure. It was one of the things. And what I did was, and I don't like disruption. As a dealer, I didn't like disruption. So what I did was I went to my service department, grabbed a couple of repair orders, started talking to customers. I asked them about the service, and I got really great reviews. People were, wow, we bought 4 cars. They knew the advisor by name, and you're like, whoa, this is great. Then at the end, I did the Columbo and asked them that one last question. I said, hey, one last question. Did you ever have any doubts? And every single customer, every single one paused and said, you're always going to have doubts, right? And that's what changed everything for me. And so there, I had been investing in private companies. A buddy of mine was a technologist, and I said, hey, can I build out a video tool and do it in service? And we started doing videos for customers just as a hobby, not to start a business. And we ended up putting it in multiple 20 groups, some of the top 20 groups, and everybody took off. And the experience was, multiple things happened, which made the experience elevated and revenues go up. But that's how it all launched.
Okay. So look, a lot of people have a hard time getting on board with shooting videos in the dealership. When you say customers were like, we have doubt. Doubt in what? Doubt in the service work, doubt in the sales process, doubt in your team, doubt on your managers, doubt on what?
They, the doubts that they had were, I said, you spent $1,500. Did you have doubts on anything that you purchased? And so I can imagine that, because you call up and you say, hey, by the way, you need a filter. And when you need a cabin air filter, and they're like, okay. Just anybody just says, yeah, it's okay. But when you could see and understand, and you see like acorns and like
catalytic converter.
Yeah, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. But when you show them and they can see pine needles and all sorts of stuff in their thing, they're like, oh yeah, get me a filter. But otherwise, why would you say yes?
Yeah.
You're thinking automatically, is that
like, do I really need that?
Yeah.
Is he telling me the truth? So what you're saying, the car business has had a reputation for some time, and I think that, we struggle with it to date. Some of the biggest challenges and doubt that I see is about character. It's about being able to actually believe that in what you're saying.
Yep.
And so video becomes a proof of what it is that we discovered, as you mentioned, could be mice babies.
Yeah, those are the best videos, actually.
Mice babies are good ones.
When you find big nests in there of animals.
Yeah. All sorts of things you can find. But I think that's what you're saying is like, look, the people had doubt. We were like, you know what? We don't want our customers to be doubting us. We're doing the right thing over here. We got good people.
So here's the thing is when you go to a marketing conference, you'll hear somebody that's a CMO get up and they'll say trust and transparency and drop all these punchlines, right?
Yes.
And you're like, okay, great. That's a great line. Love your punchline, but how do you do it?
How are you doing it?
So when we started doing video, we started to deliver on trust and transparency.
Okay.
And I got to tell you that really was great, because just think about the wind we had in our sales too. Like 8 billion videos are getting viewed on Facebook alone, not counting everybody else.
Yeah.
1.3 trillion texts a year. Yeah. So we didn't have to teach customers how to do anything. There was stuff that customers did on a normalized basis, and people don't want to read. They don't want to talk on the phone. And so trust and transparency was delivered, but consumer behavior was right where we needed it to be, luckily.
Okay. And so now you say, all right, look, instead of us just calling after MPI and saying, this is what you need, this is how much it's going to cost.
Right.
You know, now you're saying, you know what, let's shoot some videos, guys. So what do you go out, like get the techs to do it, or you get the who do you get on board first? Techs, advisors?
No, it's just you train the technicians, and everybody goes, I don't know, techs taking videos, this and that. Well, we do about 850,000 video views per month. So when people talk about I can't get my techs, that means that 1 million were sent out. 15% were not opened. So I don't know if I could get my techs. Well, there's 1 million times it was done just with my company last month.
Yeah.
So one of the things also, the other thing that well, you're just like, this is what's happening.
Right,
it's like, if you don't have the ability to
get
do
on
it,
board or die.
We'll give you strategies to help. Here's the other thing that's weird about the car business. And this is good for a lot of your, the folks that, follow you is, when 70% of customers were defecting after the warranty expired 40 years ago. So we came out with a multi-point inspection.
Right.
Green, yellow, red.
Yes.
Multi-point inspection. Fast forward 40 years. 70% of customers are still defecting after the warranty expired. We've been doing the same thing for 40 years and it hasn't changed.
Results.
Right. And one of the best lines a dealer friend told me was, all these years customers came in and asked us to play them a song, and we decided to hand them the sheet music. Why don't we just play them the song, right? And that is literally the whole story behind MPIs and bad behaviors from us. No one cares about a multi-point inspection. It's an incredible internal tool that gives us a standardization from which we can measure a car's specs in a uniform way. But that's not the tool to use to communicate, and that's what we learned.
Okay, so communication becomes a target. And you're like, we're not effectively communicating to our clients about the issue that they're having that would help them actually see the truth, the proof.
Yeah.
I mean, video is hard to deny. And so now you got your technicians up there when the car's on the lift, shooting the videos. They send it to the advisor. Now the advisor's sending it out to the customer. And it's probably a better way to call after they see the video, because
so you hit the nail on the head. One of the things we never realized, and I'll tell you this, and I humbly admit I didn't know this, is we saw 34% of the videos were being shared, and we're like, that's
weird. Who are they
weird.
sharing it to?
That is right. So we go down to the dealerships to check it out. A significant other or confidant,
a decision maker.
Right. So what we did was we said, if 34% of videos are being shared, then 34% of the time, the co-decision maker or the decision maker is not in front of me. So over a third of the time, I'm trying to explain something to someone who doesn't have the ability to agree to it or not, which is one thing. But one of the things that we figured out was this. We saw technicians making 5 recommendations, and before advisors were talking to customers, they watered it down to 3. So we were like, whoa, why are you doing that? One, they were afraid the price was going to be too high and it's sticker shock.
Yeah.
The second thing we found out, and this is what we do, we go right into the weeds and figure it out with the people, was they thought the technicians were overselling. So here we were trying to solve trust for customers, and here we were fixing trust inside a dealership. So here's how it goes. 5 goes to 3. They call the customer on the phone. They try to verbally articulate it, or in the waiting area, explain it. The customer tries to remember what they said, calls a significant other, and it might as well be Swahili at the end of that's like the worst phone game ever played known to man. Well, what happened was we saw the videos were being shared, and the same transparent message from the doctor, not the receptionist, was making it all the way through to the customer. So the dealers, we would go, hey, listen, why are sales and CSI going crazy? Is it because people can see and understand, Or is it because we fixed that communication chain?
Mm.
And all the dealers said, oh, it's both. It's the combination of both.
Yeah. Because a lot of things get lost in translation.
Yeah.
And even if you have new advisors that are new to the squad, they may not even know what these jobs mean. This is what I run across. And then they try to translate the tech talk, and it doesn't always translate even in that regard. But, when the technician shows you and says, oh, okay, now it feels a little bit more real.
Right. And there's another problem you touched on. In the car business, we don't have a working capital problem. Mm-hmm. We have a human capital problem, right? So when you look at advisors and you look at, great advisors become managers, right? So what's happening with video and the communication and the technician doing all the real selling in the video because they get to talk to the doctor is dealers are going in and getting someone that works at Cracker Barrel, giving them an opportunity. They're lowering their cost of their F&I because they teach them process, delivering video, and that's driving costs down and it's driving the numbers up. So if anybody doesn't know that video adds 30% to labor and parts.
Wow.
They're not really out there. Like I said, our company alone, not counting the others, does 1 million videos sent by technicians a month.
Yes.
So it's unbelievable. But I tell dealers all the time because I'm in multiple 20 groups as a dealer. I say, look, don't change the way you do business. Just change the way you communicate. And that's the real secret of it all. And then I'm not that smart of a guy, so it takes me a long time to learn. 98% of customer experience is how well or how poorly you communicate. And everybody always says, oh yeah, we agree whenever I'm speaking. And I go, no, don't shake your head. Because when we put in software in the dealerships, we start talking about workflow. And here's the workflow, and here's the workflow. And I finally realized I never had a customer come up to me once and say they had a great experience at my dealerships. You have fabulous workflows. I was like, man, I'm a dummy. I should have known that way earlier.
Ops is the business center that drives reoccurring revenue and customer loyalty. With 84% of all monthly calls going to service, making sure every call is answered, responded to, and followed up could be daunting. Call Review Service Vision Pro changes the game on how Fixed Ops manages the phones. And with Service Vision Pro, every call is tracked and summarized so you always have full visibility into every call. And with Service Vision Pro, you're going to get real-time alerts that empower you to be proactive when it comes to mitigating potential issues that could be caused by unanswered calls, voicemails, broken promises, or you just want to be notified of certain keywords like recalls. That matters to you. Service Vision Pro's AI technology is helping dealerships take back the phones and creating a more positive customer experience. So if you're interested in elevating your service experience, head to callreview.com to get started. Tell me, what are some of the communication pinpoints that you have seen that have been faulty and that are maybe ways that we can correct them, or things that you've dabbled in and you're like, you know what, we should say this in the videos, or we should approach our video content this way, or we should be showing this and saying this. Like, what have you found to be like a weakness that you've been able to coach your guys on?
All right. So I told you I was slow, but when I finally realized communication was so important to the whole mix, and that's where the money's made and the CX is made, we got involved a few years ago before ChatGPT with AI.
Yeah.
So you said something lost in translation.
Right.
So we started building out. Luckily, people go, oh, what are you going to do with all that data, right? We always talk about all these piles of data. Well, we got lucky because we had all these millions of conversations, millions of technician videos with what they said. And we loaded that and trained our data based on automotive experience, because no one's calling our dealership and asking or texting saying who was the fifth president, right? So who cares about, ChatGPT and that? It needs to be trained for automotive.
Right.
So when you say lost in translation, you said to me earlier, you can text to us in Mandarin, 52 languages, whatever, Spanish. We'll receive it in English, send it back to you in English. It'll be translated in perfect Mandarin, not Google Translate nonsense. That's one example. Another example is we've learned, so AI, I believe, is the way to improve. So our service advisors will type in, come grab the car at 8, all caps, because, that's the way we work in our dealerships.
It's true.
And then after we do all caps and all that nonsense, it'll be, it'll say, this is what you said. And then it'll be, yes, 5 p.m. will be perfect. Looking forward to seeing
A little
you.
more professional.
Grammatically correct and stuff like
Right.
that. So we use language models to assist an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And then what we also do is we use AI for non-language. So a good example would be noise. When you're in a shop or you're selling a car with a video, there's a lot of background noise. So what we did was we tried Dolby and everything else. It didn't work. So we came out with AI that's not a language model, but it trains to the voice of the technician. And then it digitally deletes all the sounds around the voice. It's unbelievable. And it's the only way. So you can be running off an air hammer next. Like we actually have.
I know what you're saying, because a lot of times the background
crazy.
noise, it actually devalues what the person's saying if you can hear it.
You're distracted by it.
You're totally distracted by it. And actually, it feels low quality. That's why we're using a professional mic.
Right.
Because it makes you more crisp. And if you can find a way to execute the valuable content that you're trying to like exchange in conversation, you want it to land.
No
so if you
question.
got the drill on the so you can just like bye, delete it.
You know what's crazy too is we get customers in service. You have a regular and a defector. A regular comes back, you send them information on reminders, then you have a defector.
Yeah.
And the only thing, this interaction, a customer may come in for a warranty reflash or something. When they come in, I have an interaction. You need to value that interaction.
Love it.
And when you provide a great experience with
That's
that
right.
communication, you can change that defector to a regular. There's no other way to do it except to say, oh, our prices will be cheaper. We can get you in and out. Like,
that never works.
and no one does that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I just think that I want to die a car dealer. And in order to do that, I've got to change the way we do business and really get better at what we do.
Yeah, no, I love this. I'm a super fan of
Thanks.
video. And I feel like it's an instrumental piece in the service department. It's an instrumental piece in the sales department. And people aren't doing it enough. And a lot of times people tell me this. They say, it's just a really hard process to get down. And I have to agree, because I've watched people struggle with it. And I know you've had your own setbacks. You're a dealer. You try to institute a process. It doesn't always work the first time. Right. You've got your highs and lows. But can you give us some advice on how do we create the synergy between the technician and the advisor so that both people understand the value? Because a lot of times the technician will do the video and then they're like, freaking guy doesn't even send it.
Yeah.
Why do I want to keep doing this?
So what I would say to that is, before video and trackability, how do you know they even called?
Yeah.
Right. So here's what you do. First thing is you go into the technicians and you tell the technicians why it works for them, not for anybody else, because they don't care about anybody else. They care about.
Exactly.
And you talk about the communication chain and how 100% of what you said is going to get to the person, and then it's going to be shared. It'll get to their decision maker 34% of the time. Then you share with them, you know, the upsell opportunity, the CSI, building that rapport, building UIO, and the technician has a selfish reason to do it.
He wants that work.
He does. And all you have to do is point out all the flaws that have been inflicting that poor technician his whole life. And he's like, I'm a victim. I'm going to start doing it.
Okay.
Then you go to the advisor, right?
Yes.
And with the advisor, you say that, you know, it's a lot easier when someone's doing the selling for the advisor to send it and just get a reaction for the customer. So it's almost like they're saying, hey, did you see the video?
Yeah.
And when you check out the video, I put a pricing sheet together and I'm sending you over this estimate. You can select or deselect what you'd like.
Yeah.
So it drives revenue, and advisors are paid on hours or revenue. So it drives their paycheck as well. So if everybody gets paid, if the customer's happy, it's great. And then with the AI stuff, it very much assists the advisors. So when we're helping every constituent in this deal, dealer, advisor, technician, customer, OEM, and everybody's winning, that's when stuff works. And when it doesn't, as a dealer, theory without execution is hallucination.
Woo,
you know,
I've said this before.
I don't like to hallucinate.
I hear you. Okay, so all good advice, and thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. You know, I mean, look, you're in the trenches, you have stores, you want to be successful, you see there's a problem, you know, how do I solve it? And this is how True Video emerged.
Yeah. Yep. And
in your own stores.
Yep. And now we power Reynolds Video, we power CDK, we power their AI. So it's like we're trying to be that one point of truth so dealers can have that one ecosystem they always wanted to, versus the fragmentation that they deal with and understanding. So we're sharing all of our stuff with others so that they could be successful at it as well.
Thank you for that. So I wanted to ask you something real quick. Do you see that in the service department, because we kind of just focus on fixed ops here, but is there another spot where you're thinking about a video needs to be here? That's something that maybe, because we're talking about, technicians doing videos here. And for me, it's instrumental in writing more business, transparency, customer reviews, blah, blah, blah. But is there another moment that you have identified that we should be shooting videos for?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. So we have dealers and we learn from dealers, right? So when you're doing millions of videos, the dealers are doing really cool things. And it's like a 20 group. When I'm with my 20 group guys, it's the same thing. So what happens is some dealers will send out a video for your appointment reminders, and it'll be a standard video from the service manager.
Love this.
What to expect when you arrive at the dealership, right? So that's a standard video.
That's a generic video that it shows like the entry point. I can actually see this going down because a lot of times we don't even sell the value of the shop. I see a lot of undercover. It's winter right now. I mean, being in the shop in the warm heat, we should be like, hey, we did that for you. When you come into our heated garage, you know what I'm saying? Like pull up to the garage, boom, wait for it to come out. I mean, you could sell a whole story, and that's exciting.
Think about a new customer. If you see a customer that's been there once or twice or never, you send them that introductory, and it tells them, looking forward to your appointment tomorrow.
Oh, I love this.
Here's what to expect when you get to the dealership. Here's where to park, and you share that video.
Yes.
We've also seen descriptions, like there's certain OEMs that have videos that people will standardize and say, this is what a brake job is. This is all the work required.
Yes.
So it's more educational.
So
besides the personalized one on their car, we can send over explanations as to how specific things would work. And it turns into a Khan Academy. Customers want to learn a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. They don't just want to see the personalized video sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
There's many executions beside the personalized video.
Excellent. I use this in the sales department very frequently. Only I say, go to the manufacturer's YouTube channel and gank one of those links. And this is how you follow up. So you're a value instead of like, oh, have you bought yet? Do you still in the market? Like, that's basic.
Yeah.
Anyway, same
repurposing
concept.
content is huge.
Excellent. Joe, such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. I love talking about this stuff, as you can tell.
If you like these episodes and my sales game techniques, you should snatch up our latest dealer education program I'm hosting. It's called Jen's Remote Classes, and it's a 1-hour, once-a-week class with me alongside other dealerships, all pursuing the same end game to achieve top 10% status in your dealership. For more info, hit me up. All my contact info's in the show notes. I want to hear from you. And follow Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki right now to get notified when episodes like this one drop. This is Jen on the podcast Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. See ya!